mother and I shared a good laugh last night on the phone. We were talking about the coronavirus, and we talked about the fact that I've been practicing for social distancing all my life. You see, I've never exactly been a people person. I'm the person who much prefers the company of my pets, my television, and my music above all else. But I realize I'm in the minority there, especially now considering that people are buckling under the pressure of the social distancing guidelines that are in place with the spread of coronavirus. Hi, I'm Linda. This is Linda's World, and this video is all about social distancing and your mental health. What are some of the things you could do to stay your depression, anxiety, and other negative emotions in a time such as this, when everything is up in the air, all things are uncertain, and you can't even rely on other people to bring you out of your funk because places like the bar, the restaurant, the movie theater, the club, the shopping mall, even the bowling alley is closed until further notice? I have some thoughts about this, and I'd like to share them with you this evening, and those thoughts start right now. It's a little bit after 8 o'clock at night as I sit down to film this video for you on Friday, March 20th, 2020. To the naked eye, I have to tell you, it seems like nothing's wrong. My little dog is lying on the floor right now enjoying a beautiful spring night cross breeze from my living room and bedroom windows. Earlier today, because the windows were open, I heard a Chinese woman admonishing her son. He answered her in English and continued to dribble his basketball. And I heard a Russian woman outside fiddling with the trash and yelling in Russian. I saw the UPS truck. I saw the FedEx truck. I saw several delivery trucks. All day long I could hear birds chirping and cars going up and down my street. So basically, business as usual, right? Wrong. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have been told, as a public, that we are not supposed to go outside until it's absolutely necessary for issues like food, medication, brief exercise, things like that. And we're to limit social contact as much as possible and not be hanging around even with our loved ones. Now, of course, as a person who's a loner by nature, you might say, but Linda, aren't you in your element right now? Well, yes, I am, except for the fact that I'm thinking about other people and the fact that they're not like me and that they're facing a huge mental health challenge because they're not used to social isolation. What do you do when you can't go to the bar or the restaurant or the club or whatever and hang out with people that you normally would hang out with? What do you do if you're a teenager and you can't go to the park and play basketball lest you be stopped by the police? What do you do when you normally walk into work every morning and enjoy a certain amount of camaraderie with your coworkers, but they've told you that your place is closed until further notice, and you have to either work from home or, even worse, be unemployed and losing money? What do you do with that? Well, I've been thinking about this all day because, after all, I'm just as isolated as anybody else sitting here in this apartment, and I have to tell you that I've pretty much broken it down into 3 categories of problems that people are having with this, therefore 3 categories of solutions. Now, those problems I'm going to call basic routine, non-essential services, and our loved ones, okay? What do I mean by that? By routine, I mean wake up, take a shower, hopefully, go to work or school, do your day, and come home. By non-essential services, I'm talking about like going to the hair salon or the nail salon, or getting a massage, or going to the movies, or something like that. And for loved ones, I guess that's kind of obvious. What do you do when you're missing your loved ones, right? So therefore, why don't we just launch into some of the problems and solutions, shall we? And then maybe we'll all rest a little bit easier tonight. So the first problem is the problem of routine. Okay, now it's funny. I come at this with a little bit of a backstory. Let me tell you my backstory. So my mother sat me down the night before I began kindergarten, and she told me that she was going to wake me up at 7 o'clock in the morning because we had to go to school. And was I ready for that? And I said, yeah. And the next morning, I remember my bedroom was pitch black dark, and my mother came in and she woke me up, and it was 7 o'clock, and she told me that we had to get ready and get dressed and whatever, and I was going to go to school today because today was my big day. And I swear on my life I thought this. As a child, I somehow thought that 65 was retired Social Security age. I heard it on TV or whatever. And so I remember lying in my bed before I got up thinking, oh my God, this is the first day of this. It's the first day that basically I'll be waking up really early in the morning to go to some building and staying there all day for the next 60 years of my life. Yeah, This is what I was thinking when I was 5. And then, of course, I went to kindergarten and had the usual I miss my mommy stuff, but that's, not what we're talking about. So basically, I fell right in line with everything else. I got a routine. I went to kindergarten. I went to first grade. I went to second grade, and so on, until finally I graduated from high school, whereupon I went directly to college, whereupon I graduated and went directly into a teaching career. So in essence, I've been going to a school building, mind you, every single day of my life that wasn't like vacation day since 1982. So for those of us who do that, for those of us who went from being a student to being a worker, it could be a really huge adjustment to wake up and have no place to go. Now, you might be looking at me like I'm crazy and saying, Linda, that's ridiculous. Who doesn't want a vacation day? Well, you're right. It's awesome. I mean, as for me personally, we start remote teaching. We're using Google Classroom to teach the students at my school. Starting on Monday morning, we have to be online and have a virtual school day. And I'm fine with that because it's not the job that I oppose, it's my place that I oppose. I mean, if anyone's seen my previous videos, you'll know that I'm not exactly a fan of my school or the school system, and I'm not exactly overwhelmed with joy about how teachers, namely myself, are being treated in the past couple of years. So, there's that. So basically, like I said, it's not my career I oppose, it's my job. I'm perfectly willing and quite happy to teach the students and have that kind of routine and have an information exchange back and forth. I just really would prefer not to do it at that place. So the best thing they could have done for me is tell me to remote teach. So personally, with 12 years to retirement, I'd like to tell them I'll even take a pay cut if they let me do this for the rest of my career, But I know I'm alone in that. I know that there are so many people who are lacking their routine, I know people wake up with the alarm and get on the subway or whatever and go into the commute and traffic or whatever and go to the cubicle and sit there and do computer work and go home, And so without that burden on you, you might be overjoyed at the little prospect of a vacation. But then again, what do you do with your time off if everything is freaking closed, right? So, so you start getting into a funk. And for many people, it's a depression because it's this is my purpose. This is what I do from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. I wake up, shower, go to a building, type stuff, and go home. You know what I mean? Who am I if I'm not that person, right? A lot of people derive much, pleasure is the wrong word, but a lot of their identity from their careers, right? And, of course, there's a whole separate entity of people who are alarmed because they don't have careers, they have jobs, and they're terrified of what they're going to do without the money. That's a separate case entirely. I'm speaking of the mental health, finances, it's a whole other video that perhaps we'll get into at a later date. But so what do you do? How do you combat this phenomenon? What do you do when you have been going to a building every single day since you're 5 and suddenly you can't? And you find yourself sitting around in your bathrobe saying, what is all this and what's the point? Well, here's what you do. So I suggest creating a routine for yourself, a routine that you'd want. Okay, I suggest picking a time that you think is appropriate to wake up, 7, 8, whatever, okay? Not a late time. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a working time. Set a time 8 a.m., right? And set your alarm. Do it on your phone, do it on your Alexa or your Google Home or whatever it is, however it is you set your alarm. And you set that alarm and you wake up. And you do your morning routine like you're going to work. Have coffee, put clothes on, whatever, right? And basically get ready like you're getting ready for work. Ladies, do your makeup and hair. Gentlemen, don't just put on your undies and a t-shirt, put on pants, and get yourself together as if get yourself to a point where if you look if a company rang the doorbell, you'd be fine with it, right? And because it sort of tricks the brain into thinking that you have purpose because you've just showered and put on clothes and woken up early and so on and so forth. And then what do you do with your time? Whatever you'd like. Now is the time to tackle those projects. I don't mean to gender stereotype, but, ladies and gentlemen here, there's garage work, there's housework, there's all kinds of different traditional boy chores and girl chores, and flip them if you're, so inclined to do the other way. Now might be the time to tackle cleaning the closet full of junk. Now might be the time to empty out the junk drawer. Now might be the time to actually go down into the basement and organize some of the shit that you haven't in the 20 years since your mother has been dead and you have her junk in a box, Now might be the time for you to actually sit at your computer and organize your desktop, take out extraneous doubles of pictures or, invalid song files or whatever it is that we keep on our computers that slow it down, and organize it with little folders and tabs, right? It feels like work, and it's a project that during our normal work schedule we can't really do because we don't have the time. Well, you've been given the gift of time. Use it wisely. Set an alarm, put your clothes on, get to work. What work? Whatever you deem fit, okay? Clean the garage. Clean out the trunk of your car. Take to those kitchen cabinets and figure out what needs to go and what needs to stay. Things like that. Scrub stuff, like organize your CDs. Do people still have CDs? I know I do. Just do whatever it is that's in the house that is a task, right? That you yourself personally never have the time to do. Okay? Now might be the time to pick a task that you've never done before, that you've always wanted to do. For example, teaching yourself how to knit or crochet, teaching yourself how to play an instrument, fucking around with your phone and looking at GarageBand and making just song files, right? Getting into photography, maybe go out, around your house and take pictures of, I don't know, the people who you live with, or go for a tiny walk around your neighborhood and take a photo essay basically of what coronavirus has done to your community. Look at the boarded up stores and whatever, right? It's a beautiful photographic essay if you do it right. So basically what I'm saying is apply your I've got to go to work today because it's my identity to stuff that isn't in your career, but is work and is meaningful and will make you a better person at the end of it. And when you go back to work, you'll have accomplished something and you'll almost actually rather not go back to work because you were so used to doing the other stuff. Now, the second problem is the problem of non-essential services. Now, personally, I had two problems at the start of this. One of them was the fact that my dog was desperately in need of a haircut. Okay. And actually, I just got the notification today on Facebook that her groomer, the place where I've been taking her for 5 years, and I took my little dog Sophia before, they're closed until further notice due to the virus. So they're just down the block, and I wasn't gonna part with the money until next week, but it's too late. You know what I mean? So oh no. So I have to cut my own little dog's hair, and she's gonna look so stupid, but I mean, it is what it is, right? And then there's the other problem I had, which was my nails, right? I had taken my nails off. In fact, actually, I don't know if you could see, if anyone who watches my videos religiously would see the trajectory of my nails as time went on. I had the blue and the white around the time that I went to that baby shower in my sparkle vlog, right? And somewhere in the middle of the Roll With It vlog, I actually took them off and I had blank nails. Then I tried to polish them myself and they looked terrible and whatever. So you know what I did with myself the other day? I went to CVS for essentials, right? And so while I was there getting paper towels and, cat food for Richard the cat and whatever, right? I went into the nail aisle and I got myself a kit, okay? I spent $8.42 and I got a kit that was pre-made. You didn't have to polish them or anything. The plastic is the way it is. Pre-made nails that are permanent French, okay? And come with glue and a little file. And I literally put glue on my nail, put my nail on it, held it in place, made sure there was no air bubble, and I've got nails again. And I gotta tell you that now, first of all, I've taught myself something, because if ever I don't have the time and the money, or time and money, or time more money, or whatever, to go to the nail salon, when all this is said and done, and everything's open again, at least I know I've got this on my side, right? It's sort of like Lee press-on nails from the 80s, except with glue, so it actually sticks, as opposed to the sticker. This might be the time to call upon a friend of yours who is a hairdresser, who you've always wanted to try out, but you're a little bit nervous and you're used to going to your guy or your girl. That person may be willing to come over to your house, and, just one person, nothing major, social distance all the way, right? And do your hair if it's come that time. You'll be giving that person the experience and, the joy of practicing their craft, as well as getting your own hair done. So everybody wins, non-essential services such as going to the movies, right? Well, this is the time that so many companies are looking at the situation and offering months of free service. Spectrum is offering free Wi-Fi for 90 days or something like that. Netflix may be willing to work with you. Or if you already have Netflix, you're fine. And basically create movie night, go, order some popcorn from Amazon, put it in like, you put it in a cool bowl, you know, and like just go sit in your living room, turn off the lights, right? And watch a movie you've never seen before. You know, a couple of days ago, I finally watched Joker, and there's a video coming about that. Just saying. But I watched it, and I watched it as if I was in the theater. I had snack food, and it was dark, and I watched it, and I was just so happy. Because, you know, there I am watching the same damn episode of Grace and Frankie all the time, but that's not going to the movies. You know, I recreated the movie experience by seeing a film that I've never seen before on my actual television screen, but with movie food, so that it felt like I was in the theater. And it wasn't half bad, I have to tell you. And Joker, oh, that goes without saying, it was awesome. Stay tuned for that video. I have lots of things to say. But anyway, there's that. And now finally, there's the problem of our loved ones. Now, please understand that I do respect the fact that if a person's loved one is elderly, or if a person's loved one has pre-existing medical conditions, or if their loved one is both of those, then you may want to take this suggestion with a grain of salt, okay? But I think that it's wonderful that we live in such a time that technology is our friend. You know, I saw a friend of mine on Instagram today was posting, she posted her kids each using devices. They had like iPads or whatever, and they were FaceTiming each of their friends, right? And I was like, how wonderful that is, that like it's 2020 and like it's not Gilligan's Island here. Like we're not shipwrecked. Like there's like, you can text anybody, you can call or FaceTime or email or, you know, like Snapchat anybody, you know? And so take advantage of that as much as you can. But, and here's where I said, take a grain of salt if your loved ones are elderly or infirm, that the simple act of being alone in a room with one person, with your social distance, not sharing utensils or whatever, is actually not the most frowned upon thing. And if you could see your way clear to going to that person's house or having them come over to you or meeting in a neutral location that's still open, right? Then you'd be surprised how incredible, even just that little short amount of time, that conversation and that camaraderie will hook you up, will help you out of the funk that you're in, you know? And I'm telling you right now, it's not like, I know that you might not want to take that one. I know you might want to be like, but Linda, they told us to stay home and not talk to anybody. And you never know who could be carrying the virus. And you're absolutely right. So proceed with caution. And if you feel as though it's a safe situation, you go right ahead and do that situation, because, you know, you and that other person will be all the better for it. And if you feel as though it's too risky or the other person doesn't want to get involved, you don't do it. And you just do it like by phone. You know what I mean? But it's definitely worth a shot, you know? Now, my final suggestion for the night, how to deal with our mental health when we're socially distancing, how to combat our growing depression, our burgeoning anxiety during this time, I have one word for you, and that word is pets. Ladies and gentlemen, 18 years ago, I got Sophia the dog because I wanted to share my home with someone who wasn't human, who would give me unconditional love, and I'd give it back to them, and who would keep me honest. What do we mean by that? I meant that I couldn't really go too far down the rabbit hole. I couldn't be that depressed. I couldn't do anything drastic to myself or anything like that, because Sophia needed mom, you know? And when she died and I got Chloe, I felt the same way. I'm like, I can't go to extreme measures. Like, I can't go out there and commit crimes, or I can't go out there and like jump off a bridge when I'm depressed, or, you know, anything, because Chloe needs mom, you know? And I know that sounds weird, and you're like, but why does this blonde lady even have anything to say about like having mental problems? I've expressed to you before the fact that I'm pretty wildly bipolar, and and I have a couple of other mental things wrong with me as well. And so, you know, I don't want to elaborate on that, but basically I'm saying that my pets have literally saved my life every day for the past 18 years. And I'm telling you right now that if you are fortunate enough to have a little baby somewhere in your house that has a tail of any kind, you know, that loves you, you take this opportunity to stay home with that baby, and you give them all the love that they need and more. You put them in the bed with you at night. You walk them briefly around the neighborhood, not if it's a cat, of course. You make sure you keep up with that litter, and make sure you stock the house with food and supplies for them, because they're going to need you in this time, and they're confused because they don't know why mom and dad are suddenly home, so they're gonna look at you funny, like, why are you here? And then they're going to love it, and it's going to be awesome, and you are going to have the greatest time ever being pet mom or pet dad. And it's going to make, it can fill all the holes, stuff's still closed and we're still on high alert, and this is a pandemic, and that's horrendous. But when you see that little wagging tail and you see that little smiling face, that's, who could be depressed? I know it's certainly much harder for me to feel sorry for myself when I look at that beautiful baby that's on my floor right now, looking up at mom, saying, Mom, when are you going to be done with this video? So I guess the answer to that is going to be now, because I'm not going to talk your ear off. I don't like to belabor a point, even though I love to belabor a point. So I'm going to go and spend time with my little dog, and I am going to practice my social distancing and all the things I just said, and I'm going to enjoy my Friday evening, because we're alive today. I'm alive today. And I'm in my house, and I'm safe, and I have something to eat, and I have electricity, and I have Netflix, and I have a little baby dog, and I'm clean, and I have water, and for now, I'm going to enjoy that. So you go and do that too. P.S. See that candle? That's for ambiance. I'm enjoying the night. You go do the same, and I will catch up with you on Self-Care Sundays in a couple of days. We got this. Don't worry.